أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. Dear brothers and sisters, we have been giving lectures on the purifying agents or mutahhirat. We have explained the rules concerning some of the purifying agents. Today we will elaborate and explain the rules regarding the remaining purifying agents. Of course, we have explained the rules up until the fourth purifying agent. Today we will begin with the fifth purifying agent, which is inqilab. Inqilab is also a purifying agent. What does inqilab mean? Inqilab means change in properties. If the property of something changes, then that means that purification has taken place. Now, what is the difference between inqilab and istihala? Because istihala is the fourth purifying agent and its rules were mentioned, explained in the previous session. Now, the difference between istihala and inqilab is this, that although both of them means change, but the first one is complete transformation, complete chemical change, and complete change in a way such that the thing turns into something else or changes into something else. The original shape and the original essence do not remain when it's changed. But as far as inqilab is concerned, inqilab means change in property. It does not mean complete transformation or complete change. The shape is not changed, but only the property is changed. For example, if wine changes into vinegar, then it is considered to be inqilab. It is considered to be a change in properties, because both of them, both wine and vinegar, are liquid. If you look at the liquid, it would be difficult for you to tell whether it is wine or whether it is vinegar, because the shape is the same. The shape is the same, but there has taken place only a change in the property. Wine, which is liquid, changes into vinegar. Now this change is called inqilab, and this change is one of the purifying agent. And if wine does change into vinegar, that liquid, which used to be impure, is now pure, and it can be used, it can be consumed. Many people ask questions about wine vinegar and spirit vinegar, and there are different kinds of vinegar. Actually, we don't really know whether it is wine or vinegar. If a liquid is known to be vinegar, then it is permissible to drink it, to consume it. If a liquid is wine, then it is impure and you cannot approach it, you cannot use it, you cannot sell it, you cannot consume it. There is no doubt about it. This is inqilab. This is change in property. Now the sixth purifying agent is intiqal. Intiqal literally means transition or change in place. Now there are different examples which I will mention, which I will provide. One of the examples is that let's assume if a mosquito sucks human blood, the blood, man's blood or human blood, which is essentially impure and which is impure by itself, it is changed, its location is changed, it is sucked by a mosquito, and it becomes part of the mosquito's blood. In this case, the blood which is in the body of the mosquito is pure, provided that it becomes a part of its body and its flesh. Now, you can broaden this example. It was just an example to help you understand the issue. Now, change in place, which is called intiqal in Arabic and jurisprudential terminology, is a purifying agent. The example was given. If a mosquito or if a fly, like a mosquito, sucks man's blood, the blood which is transferred to the insect's body becomes pure. Now, let's broaden the example. The example of transplantation, which is very common and very daily of very daily need. There are people who get transplantations and they change their kidney, they change their organs, limbs. Now let's assume a person, a Hindu, a Buddhist, a non-Muslim, a disbeliever, a pagan, donates his organ to a Muslim. As long as that is the body and the organ of the non-Muslim, of the disbeliever, that is impure. The liver, the kidney, the heart, and whatever organs that are donated to a Muslim are impure as long as they are part of the non-Muslim's body and organ. But when it's transplanted, when it is transferred to a Muslim's body, and when it becomes part of a Muslim's body, then that body, that organ becomes pure. For example, a hand, assume it, is a Buddhist's hand, a non-Muslim's hand is transplanted to a Muslim's body, that hand becomes pure. That hand becomes clean and ritually clean. This is the rule concerning intiqal. Intiqal means change in place. Now, you can also give another example. If, let's assume, a monkey's blood or a pig's blood, just assume a pig's blood is transferred into men's body. Now, it is just an assumption, maybe it's not scientifically possible, then that does not mean that the whole body and the whole limbs and organs of that Muslim have become impure. The blood, whether it is man's blood or human blood, pig's blood or animal's blood, is impure. And the transplantation does not make it more impure. More impure. You can just give another example. If a pig's body or piece of flesh is transferred to a human body, that piece of flesh becomes pure because of the change of place, and because it has become part of the man's body, a man's organ. The eighth purifying agent is istibra. Now, previously in the previous sessions, I have explained the rules of istibra. That is a different question, that's a different issue, which I explained in the previous sessions. Here, istibra gives a different meaning. Those who are living in the countrysides and in rural areas, and those who have dairy farms, they know that some animals get used to eating man's refuse, man's excrement, or man's stool, human stool. Such animals just assume that a cow or a sheep or a camel starts eating human refuse, human excretion. The body and flesh of that animal becomes impure if such an animal gets used to eating human stool. Now, how are you going to purify such an animal? And what does istibra refer to, and how does it actually serve as a purifying agent, istibra? Istibra, when it comes to animals, means to clean something, to get rid of something. This is the meaning, to clean something and to get rid of something. Now, if you want to purify an animal, a cow, a sheep, or a camel, then you have to stop it from eating human stool. You have to stop it from eating essentially impure objects. How do you stop it? How do you stop an animal that is started using such impure objects? Of course, you have to keep the animal in a room or in a special place where the animal does not have access to impure objects. It does not have access to unclean objects, to human stool or to human refuse. While you contain the animal, when you keep it away from animal, you have to give it clean food. You have to feed it with pure food until such time that the animal may no longer be considered as an animal which eats impurity, which eats najasat. If an animal is kept away from impure objects for such a long time, then that the animal is no longer considered to be a stool-eating animal, then the purification has been achieved, the animal has been purified, and it is permissible, of course, to eat the meat of that animal. Now, some grand scholars, of course, in their epistles of Islamic laws, have fixed the number of days in which an animal has to be kept away from impure objects. For example, if a camel is used to eating impure or human stool, it has to be kept away from human stool for 40 days in order to purify the animal. If it is a cow, it should be kept away for 20 days. If it is, for example, a sheep or goat, it has to be kept away for 10 days. And if it is a duck or a fowl, then it has to be kept away for 7 or 5 days. And if it is a chicken, of course, the chicken has to be kept and fed with pure food for 3 days. That would be enough in order to purify the animal. If the animal is considered to be a clean eating animal, even less than 40 days, less than 20 days, less than 10 and 7 days, as I mentioned, then that will not suffice. The number is fixed, and you have to act according to the number of days that have been specified. Otherwise, it will not be sufficient. If an animal is kept, for example, it has been said that the camel has to be kept away for 40 days. If it is kept for 35 days, that will not be sufficient. If it is kept for 39 days, that will not be sufficient. You have to keep it away from eating human stool for 40 days. During the 40 days, it has to be given or fed with pure objects, so much so that it is considered to be an animal that is eating and that is used to eating pure objects. When the 9th purifying agent is Islam. If a non-Muslim converts to Islam, if he embraces Islam, Islam itself is a purifying agent. It purifies Muslims, it purifies the hands, body, and the whole organs of the non-Muslim. Islam serves as though it is water that cleans and purifies the body. Of course, Islam purifies the body only. Islam does not purify the essential impurity on a non-Muslim's body. If there is essential impurity on a non-Muslim's body and he converts to Islam, the essential impurity has to be removed. If a non-Muslim's clothes, dress, or belongings are impure, and he knows that his dress has come into contact with urine, with semen, or such other things, then Islam does not purify such things. The clothes are not purified if they have been made impure. Islam purifies only the body, the individual. It is a spiritual agent. It purifies the body and the soul, of course. Now, if a person converts to Islam, not only the person, but also his child. Becomes pure. His child is purified as a result of its father's embracing Islam. If a Hindu or a Buddhist recites the Shahadatain, if a non-Muslim, if a disbeliever recites the Shahadatain and says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, this is called Shahadatain. Now with this recitation, the person who recites these two testimonies, is considered to be Muslim. Whoever recites the Shahadatain, whoever testifies to the oneness of God and testifies to the prophethood of the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, is considered to be Muslim. His blood his property, his honor are respected. No one can infringe upon him. No one can disrespect him. No one can insult him. No one can violate his rights. His blood, his property, and his honor are inviolable. This is the saying of the Holy Prophet. This is a saying of the infallible Imams. Many people wonder as to how can a person convert to Islam. Converting to Islam does not require any special procedure. It does not require any special formality. Just to recite the two testimonies would be sufficient in order for the disbeliever to become a believer, in order for the non-Muslim to become Muslim. Now, if a non-Muslim recites the Shahadatain, if she is a girl, if she is a woman, it is permissible for a Muslim man to marry her, irrespective of whether he wants to marry her for a fixed period of time or he wants to marry her permanently. The marriage is allowed. Some may say that, okay, he might have only apparently recited the two testimonies, and he may not have, or she may not have converted into Islam from the depth of her heart, or she may not have converted into Islam, to Islam genuinely. The ulama and mujtahideen have said that even if that is the case, it is permissible to marry her, because recitation, what is required is the recitation of the two testimonies. That was, of course, the ninth purifying agent. And the 10th purifying agent is taba'iyya. Taba'iyya means to follow. This is, as I explained in the previous issue, if a non-Muslim converts to Islam, his child also becomes pure. This is taba'iyya. And taba'iyya, or to follow, is the 10th purifying agent. It is the 10th purifying agent. I gave you the example. I said that if a non-Muslim converts to Islam, his child, his minor child, also becomes pure. His minor child also becomes ritually clean. And this is done automatically. The minor child needs not to be washed in order to be made pure. The child, because it's minor, because the child remains a young child who has not attained the age of puberty, who has not attained the age of adulthood, remains to be subject to its father. When the father converts to Islam, the minor child is also considered pure, and the minor child is also treated and considered to be Muslim. Now, there is another purifying agent, of course, and that is the draining of usual quantity of blood from the slaughtered body of an animal. When an animal is slaughtered, of course, the 4 jugular veins are cut. The blood gushes out, and the blood spurts out. Whatever blood comes out during the slaughtering, that blood is impure. There is no question about it. But the blood which remains in the body of the animal, that blood is considered to be pure. Now sometimes it happens that the legs and the bottom of the animal is in a lower position. The animal starts breathing when it is slaughtered. Some of the blood recedes, goes back to the animal's veins or to the animal's body or inside the animal's body. The receding blood is impure. The blood which goes back into the animal's body is impure. But if such a thing does not happen, if all the blood comes out and gushes out, and the blood does not recede, then of course the remaining blood in the body of the animal is considered to be pure. And of course, when we say that the blood in the body of the animal, the remaining blood is pure, then that means that if a drop of that blood falls on your clothes, on your body, and if your hand or if your body comes in contact with that blood, then it's not necessary to wash it. It's not necessary to remove the blood. Sometimes we buy, for example, a kilo of meat from the market. We wash it. During washing, we find that there's blood on the meat. Of course, that blood is not impure. Even if that blood is in the food, there is no problem, there is no objection about it. It is clean, and the food can be eaten. These are some of the rules regarding purifying agents. Of course, there are some other details regarding these 12 or 11 purifying agents, and the details need to be studied by you. Of course, you need to go through the epistles of Islamic laws written by the mujtahideen, by prominent scholars. You need to, if you want further details, you need to go through their books in order to enrich yourself, to improve your understanding of Islamic laws, and to learn more. Of course, as I said, I just give a brief summary or a brief account of what has been given and written by the prominent scholars. For further details, for further information about the Islamic laws, you need to turn to the books written by grown religious authorities. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.